Hello. We could go.
Yeah, why don't we get started, Laura? We'll just go ahead and people will come as.
I'll have to keep remembering to let people in.
Yeah.
But I want to say I've had an interesting week at the library answering questions. We had a history teacher from France contact us to see if we had any information on Lester Erskine, who the brother of Fred Erskine.
Okay.
Who was from Jacksonport, and this person in France is doing research on the people who died during World War I in their town. And Lester was the first person to die from Door County, 20 years old, I think. And he was buried in Europe and then brought here to the United States. He's now buried at Arlington National Cemetery. But I found a lot of information for him, but he wanted some original pictures. So I ended up contacting Eileen from the Jacksonport Historical Society, because she was, oh, here's a Gretchen coming in, because she was involved with some of the books that they published that include information on the family. So that's kind of interesting. And
yeah,
I'm hoping to contact that teacher again and ask him to send his research here when he gets it done.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Hello, Gretchen.
Hi.
Gretchen.
You made it.
I did. I had a phone call at 1:30, but it was shorter than I thought.
Okay. Did you get in through the library like I sent you a message, or didn't you see the
Well,
message?
I remember that I'd done that, so I didn't go back and look for your message. I just came in that way. Yep.
And we're hoping to have 2 people join us today. They said they might try. One was pretty determined. A girl named Karen who's researching her. She's a descendant of the Hitt family from Fairbanks, and she is researching her family. She's been to Door County a few times, and she's maybe coming back soon. And she's, one of her line is a girl who was basically, let's see, the girl's father was sheriff in Door County in the 20s.
Oh.
His name was Al, I have it all written down. He was from Norway, and his name was Al Osmundson.
Oh,
sometimes it has Osmund, and sometimes it's Osmundson. And Al was sheriff for many years, as I say, but what I found for her was the yearbook when the girl, Olive was her name, Osmundson, graduated from high school in 1932, and I found the picture of her there. It says something about Toodles. Her nickname's Toodles. She's great at the piano. And sadly, I found her father's obituary in the newspaper. He passed away shortly after that in July 1932. He had severe cancer that was extremely painful, and he killed himself. So.
Oh dear.
dear.
Poor girl. And she had a half brother who was a little bit older, and she then apparently got married a few times, but in the 50s she was playing piano around Door County, or not just Door County, around clubs in Wisconsin under the stage name Cookie Stevens. I just think that's such a good name. And Door County newspapers talk about people from Sturgeon Bay they were down in Milwaukee and they heard Cookie Stevens, formerly Olive Osmundson or Osmundson from Sturgeon Bay, playing the piano. So what Karen's trying to do is find more information on this girl after the 50s. The latest article where she's playing in the clubs was 1958 that I could find. And Karen had some from Milwaukee, I think about the same date. So we don't know what happened to her. Now, she was born in 1915, so she could still be alive at 105, but there's no trace of her after those advertisements. So if anyone can figure it out, we can let her know if we figure it out. I did some searching. I had no luck at all finding anything, and the fact she was married twice and you know, her maiden name and then her stage name. It's hard to know for sure how you'd find her. So
It could be under one of the married names.
yeah.
And we don't know that.
Yeah, I did look in, I hope Karen will be able to come. She repeatedly said she'd try. The first marriage was to Fred Smith here in Door County, and the second marriage was to Howard John Berberich. And I think he was from Milwaukee. So I haven't found anything looking under any of those names.
What was the second name?
I believe it was Berick or CH. Karen, I did find her tree on Ancestry. It's the most complete tree for this family. And the well, here is just from her tree. This is Olive, and the sheriff's department in Door County did a really 3-part book on the history of the sheriff's department. And so this is a page from it where you see her father, Olive's father, Al, right there. But
Yeah.
you see him in a number of places because he served multiple times. So nice looking man. It's just a very sad story. So if anyone can think of how to trace Olive, we can pass it on, or maybe Karen will be here today.
No, there's
Barbara Tuck. Is it-
Dukes.
Duke, yeah. Hi.
Good.
Oh.
Dave?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hello, Dave.
We don't see everybody, but we can see you.
You scroll across the bottom.
Yeah, there's
Different.
arrows.
Oh, there it is. Okay, there's an arrow there. Oh, hi,
Hi,
Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Hi.
Okay.
we're
You know
talking
everybody?
There she is. Does anyone see her?
Who?
Olive.
This is
Olive. We can see that, yes, but we don't know who Olive is.
We're all trying to figure out what happened to Olive to try to help someone.
I see. Okay.
So I also have interest in, well, this Hitt family is from Claybanks, right? They were early loggers and all sorts of things. I don't know if any of you knew Dick Hitt when he was here. He's moved to Milwaukee, but he came in the library a lot in the old days. And it's interesting that now there's another book coming out on the Claybanks area, but the underwater archaeology. Dick Boyd is an underwater archaeologist, retired from the state, and he's been working on a book that will outline Claybanks, which is a pretty interesting area. In the old days when they did the logging, they had it was a really big settlement there. I don't know if anyone's seen pictures, but they had big, huge, factory type things. They logged and then they made shingles and shipped them out on the boats. So they've been doing a lot of archaeology there. And I know his book's going to be really complete because he asked me questions that really were digging deep in. Virginia Johnson from Algoma area has a lot of information that he was looking for, and it just should be really interesting. I'm anxious for it to come out. He said it's delayed because of the virus situation.
Help me, where exactly is Claybanks, or what's left of it? Where
Well,
was
Southern Door County on the lake side.
Lakeside?
Yeah.
North or south of Algoma?
North, it's Door County.
North. Oh, okay, north of Algoma, okay.
But I once saw stationery from that area, some of the factories that were, or whatever they were called. It's just amazing, that they had a huge dock. It's pretty much empty now, right? But it was like the center. Of course, Bailey's Harbor was the biggest port too, because they were both right on the lake in the really.
Yeah, Newport too. There was a big settlement at Newport.
Yeah. So I'm anxious for that book, and I'll let you know when it comes out, but it should be pretty interesting. So that's some of my news. Anyone have anything to say? Oh, we have another possible visitor. I don't know if he will come. But this is a book that we've ordered for the library. He sent emails to different libraries. Can anyone see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Looking into our grandparents' immigrant eyes, photographic images of early immigrant families to southeastern Wisconsin. And his name is Thomas Ramstack. He wrote saying, would you be interested in buying the book? So I did order the book. It's in the catalog if you want to put it on hold. It won't be necessarily out soon because we have some delays in getting things out. We're switching our catalog over to the new system. But the book has to do with letters and pictures of many, he says hundreds of people from southeastern Wisconsin. And I asked him if he'd be interested in doing a program, and he seems somewhat interested. He's never used Zoom, so I said, why don't you come to our genealogy meeting today? He said he might try. So that's 2 people I'm hoping will come, Karen and Tom. And if we can get him to be comfortable with Zoom, he would do a program on his book, but he'd like us to contribute more on the ethnic groups in the area. So I think it would be really interesting to have him. So that's my news, and I'm hoping those 2 will come.
Laura, you said something about changing the catalog?
Yes,
To what?
What's that all about?
it's going to be, I think it's going to throw everyone for a loop.
Swell.
Great.
The whole, info soup,
Yeah.
the infrastructure is one company, and we're switching to a whole new company.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So it's going to look kind of similar in some ways, but it's going to be completely a different company, different structure. So that's happening. We're trying to get ready for it, but I understand we'll be closed August 15th when they actually do the switchover.
Will it still work with overdrive?
There are going to be some changes in that. Yeah.
Yeah, are all the info soup libraries going to be making the switch as well, or just Door County?
It's the entire, it's not us. It's.
What about hoopla?
Yeah. What about Libby and
Those will still be there, but the difference will be that they will migrate at most things. They'll migrate across to the new system, but when they migrate, they will not be able to save the PIN numbers. And there's a lot of information even now on infosoup.org, but there'll be more as we get closer. And so they're going to give a default PIN number to everybody. So as far as Hoopla and Overdrive, you'll have to switch your PIN numbers that you signed up with.
When will this be happening, do you think?
Well, as I say, we've been told we'll be closed August 15th for the actual day when they're switching.
Wow, that's come up quick.
Yeah. And
We don't want to have to move.
Yeah. So you might just read some of the things that they're starting to put up online about it, but
What's the new system going to be called?
it's called, the name of the company is, or the system is called Carl X.
Carl S or X?
Carl X, C-A-R-L. Yes. Okay,
Has this anything to do with the COVID issues?
you can excuse me a minute. I think if you can carry on the conversation, Tom Ramsack is on the phone, and I'm just going to run down and tell him how to find us. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Take over, Tom.
Come on, Tom, you can take over.
Anybody have anything they want to say? Otherwise, I got a couple of things.
I just am asking who's all
who's all
in
on?
this meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, the first one is Laura Kayacan. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She's the Door County librarian at Sturgeon Bay. Okay. All right. And then, of course, Ron. And Ron, who is your lady's
Betty.
name? Oh, yeah.
Betty.
Okay.
Betty Spink. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Excuse me. And then, of course, we know Steve Osterhaus, and then Dave Weston and Gretchen, and then you guys. Okay.
Dave, you got Dave. Did he say Dave?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think so. I do.
We have two Davids, a David and a Dave.
Yeah,
Oh,
you did.
okay. I didn't know.
Okay.
Who's the other Dave or David?
Dave
Dave
Weston.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, we don't see everybody all at one time on the
No.
screen.
No, we don't. You have to scroll it. Mine, you just scroll across the bottom and
Yeah,
it moves the picture.
Oh, I
It's
see. Okay, sure. Now we see it. Yeah. Okay.
It's supposed to, and I know it's not doing it, but it's supposed, oh, maybe I don't have it set up right. You're
Yeah, you should
supposed
be
to.
able to see everybody up to 9, I think, at once usually.
Oh, we can only see 4.
4 at once on ours.
Yeah.
The Howards are not joining us in this.
You know, he called me or sent me an email a couple weeks ago, and I sent him back with instructions on how to get into the, into Zoom. And I have not heard another word, and I have not called him. I probably should, and I haven't. So if you see him now, Myrma called me, a month and a half ago and said that she wasn't really into the computer stuff, and so she wasn't sure how much she was going to partake in it. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe they're not interested, since she did say she was interested if we went back to the day in-person meetings, which
Not going to happen for a while.
ain't gonna happen for a while. So.
We might get old by the time we can get back together.
We're old already, so where does that end?
I'm not
I wonder if they have a camera on their computer, because you have to have a camera.
Yeah, that's what I told Dave, is he had to have a camera on his computer, and I'm not sure. Maybe he doesn't have one.
Done.
I don't have a camera, so I'm on my phone.
You're on I can tell by the size of your screen, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm just on my iPhone.
Okay, Kathy Diltz is interested, and she wants to join us, but she is tied up with her ukulele lessons or group this time. So it seems like whenever we want to meet, she's got ukulele thing.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Of course, Grace she wants to join, but she's got her nursery, business that she's on during the summer. So she'll probably join us in the winter.
Yeah.
And then Carol Super, I think that's
Soper.
it.
Soper.
Yeah, Soper. She's working at this time, so she can't join us. And then Pam Good said she wanted to join us, but apparently she's tied up with something else. Those are the only ones that, besides us, that have responded to me.
And the meetings have to be at this time?
That's up to Laura.
Okay.
Laura.
Yeah, Tom, on your email that you sent announcing the meeting, I was only guessing that I had to go into the library site in order to find you guys.
Okay.
I don't know whether it'd be a good idea to give the instructions on how to get in on your email.
I can do that. I'll send it out again.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do, but maybe send a screen. Can you send a screenshot of that screen where on the library website?
Actually, I think, Tom, if you just put the link, the way she had the link set up on the library.
That would work.
You don't have to worry about the meeting number or a password.
Right, that would work well.
That was just one simple click and it'll take you through. You might have to put Zoom on your computer or your...
Yeah, you do have to do that.
You have to put the app.
Well, you don't have to, but it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I'll do that. The next meeting, I'll send it out.
Okay.
All right, to everybody. And then, I don't know. So, okay. All right, well, I'll start. I just had a couple of things I wanted to mention to you. I've been, I think I mentioned last time that I've been on I signed up for the National Genealogy Society virtual meeting conference. And for this year, so I've been, since 1st of July, I've been going through all 45 of those sessions. And I'm pretty well at the end. There's like 85 sessions that you can sign. I didn't sign up for all of them because some of them obviously didn't pertain to my interests. So anyway, but they've been all very, very good. Okay. Especially the ones on DNA. Well, let me say on DNA, they really didn't tell me anything that I didn't already know, but they helped me try to understand how to do the researching and the matching and the triangulation and all those nice little terms. And someday I'll get to that. But the other thing that was most impressive is the ones I looked at and listened to, there were several on how to use family search and how to use family search with Wiki.
Yeah.
And Wiki, I didn't realize it was as powerful as it is. I thought,
Oh, it's amazing.
yeah, I thought it was just more or less a big, Encyclopedia Britannica, and that you had articles read. But there's actually, you can actually read the articles and from the Wiki connect into things and connect into their databases and that.
You mean Wikipedia, right? Wikipedia?
No, it's a wiki on family search.
Oh, on family search.
On
Okay.
family search, the Wiki. And it has amazing stuff on any topic that you're going to want to research, any ethnic group or anything. It has, I was quite impressed with that. So, for example, what I was doing is I knew that my second great grandfather had bought land when they came over here in 1854 near Madison. And I knew who they bought it from. They bought it from a man named William A. White, who was a land speculator, but I didn't know any other details of it because I hadn't had a chance to go down to Madison and go through the records there before this COVID came along. But anyway, it's all on the Mormons have been over there and they already, microfilmed everything and now digitized it. And so I found a copy of the actual deed, quitclaim deed between White and Nicholas, and how much he paid for the land, and then all the other Wise-and-Sell land transactions that went through there back in the 1850s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the, and so then I went to the other one is in Jefferson County, which is down near Watertown, and I did the same thing there as I went through, and I found what Dushak did when he came over in 1853, I think it was, and I found his transactions, and
Wow.
so I was quite impressed.
Is it was that by county? Did you go in by Wisconsin County?
By county, yeah. There's a website. It's called
on Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you go to. There's a. Let's see. I could probably send out that link out to you.
First of all, Tom, you started off in family search.
Yes.
Right. To the Wiki.
And then through Wiki, you had to go through Wiki to get to family search, or
No.
the other way around?
No.
They have a wiki on family search. It's their
Okay.
own wiki.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you look up a topic. That on the Wiki, you look up a topic, and then that brings up a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
Yeah, databases that you can, and pages that you can go to. One of which was United States. This is in the catalog. United States, in my case, United States, Wisconsin, Dane, and then it brings up all the records that they have, including the one called Land and Property. And then there's Land and Property Index. And so that's only for Dane County, or if you want Jefferson County, and then it also, there's other states. You can go to, just look, the example they used was United States, Minnesota, because that's where they were doing the research. And so other states are there too. Alabama, I don't know I didn't really look at the other ones. So it was very helpful.
Cool.
Michigan would be in there too.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I was quite impressed with that. And then,
Can I mention something about the wiki, Tom?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Got Carol, all right.
great.
Yeah.
I did extensive. I've used the Sweden part of the wiki extensively. It's just amazing what they have. They have it down to the parish level, and you can go and get all sorts of resources that are available through family search.
Wait a second. I see you, I see me, and I see two other people.
No, there's,
Okay, there's a box.
scroll across the bottom. Just scroll your pictures across.
There's arrows.
The arrows
Wait a second,
are,
let me open this up wider.
We don't have arrows. We just scroll our
Okay.
finger.
yeah, I just scroll across the
I have
bottom.
arrows.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna do bigger. Now I have more people.
Yeah.
I saw you a minute ago. On the phone, yeah. Oh, I see you up close, I think. No, I see somebody up close. But I don't know where it says gallery view.
That would
We
be,
don't have that
That
either.
will do it.
People's
Just that
faces,
one.
and it keeps flicking from
Okay.
people. I see Gretchen and Barbara and
Well-
Ronald.
And they all
And
hear you.
you-
will.
Hang up the phone now and we can help you.
It
Hang it up,
will.
and then you can go with gallery.
Okay, thank you.
it will,
Okay,
whoever is talking is the one that if you, there's a little button up there that you press on to where it says to switch to, I think it's, I don't remember what it says, switch to audio or switch to something. And then that,
Speaker view.
whoever is talking, the Zoom automatically switches to that screen. Okay?
and this is Tom Romstock, is that how you pronounce it? Who wrote
If
the
we
book
were
that I
still in
mentioned?
Germany, I would be at Ramstock, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in the last 100 years, we pronounced it Ram Stack, like a stack of rams.
So,
How
welcome.
are you guys?
Good.
I see Barbara and another Tom and the Silver family and you.
Oh,
Tukes.
Tooks, yeah, we're Barbara and David.
David, yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you all. So,
Likewise.
have you guys been involved for quite a while with your genealogical club?
Yeah.
Or most, okay.
Most of us were from the Northern Door Genealogy group.
Oh, I see, okay.
But we're meeting virtually now because of the situation, so.
Well, okay. Would you like me to describe a little bit of how I got involved in
Sure.
genealogy?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
Tell us a
I
little
get
bit about yourself.
if I get boring or I talk too long, just say stop. Okay.
You can just cut him out, Laura.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
Laura,
Laura, come on. Okay.
she'll just mute you.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I actually had kind of a fascinating beginning. It started back in the 1980s. And if you guys, I think you're, well, I'm 67.
You're a
Remember
kid.
in the 80s when we used to get personal letters from friends and not
Yeah,
internet?
what are those things?
Well,
we used to get
weren't they
Christmas cards.
weren't they wonderful? Because they would ask, how are you doing? We're doing this. Would like to see you. We miss you. Now, when we send a text message, it's just
Uh-oh.
tomorrow, 2:30, bye, right?
Right.
So I kind of miss the personal connection you get with the old letters we did back in when we were younger. But I could tell you a little bit about how I got started. My dad was a really good talker. Talking about his younger days when he was a young man, young boy. And he was born in Elm Grove. Are you guys familiar with Elm Grove,
Mhm.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, it's near Milwaukee.
Yeah, near
Right.
Milwaukee. Elm Grove is a village now in Brookfield, which is in Waukesha County.
Uh-huh.
But we were there before Elm Grove was all that. Our family came in 1844 and they started in farming. They came from Bavaria. And so Dad used to tell us human interest stories about all the old families that lived in the town. And they captured my
Tom, your
interest.
connection's a
It sounded
little
like-
bit breaking off on and off, but keep going. I think
Okay.
it's not too bad.
Okay, let me see, where's my volume?
No, the internet freezes for a second.
No freezing.
Yeah, I think that's typical, isn't it?
It can be, yeah.
Okay, I'll try to make this quicker. Can you see something? I don't know if you can see this piece of paper. I'm gonna put it up by the screen.
I'm gonna see if Jack wants to come in.
Okay. I saw him out there recently.
Can you guys, I don't know, Laura, if you can see this. Can you see this, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you see the year? 19.
You have to hold it up for further.
Wait. All right. 1986, right? And what happened is I asked Dad, I said, well, where did our family come from? I don't know. And I said, because by this time he was the 5th generation. And so I went out to the Waukesha County Courthouse and I found a wedding document, you know, when you have to register to get married. And I saw the name Germersburg, which is a really, really tiny village in the northern part of Bavaria. It also said, it was in Schneitach, which is kind of like the county, the center of the county. Anyways, I got a letter back from a man who's the Lord Mayor, and he says there's somebody who would like to contact you. And to make this long story shorter, if I can, he said, please be patient. She wants to talk to you. And she lived, just by coincidence, we're not related, her and her husband retired in the home that our family left in 1844.
Wow.
Oh, small world.
Oh, talk about fate, I don't know. But this lady was very fascinated in local history. She was retired and that was kind of her hobby. And we wrote back and forth several times and we discovered there was a whole colony of people, about 8 families who lived in adjoining villages. It took us 7 years to figure this all out, but there were 7 families that lived next to us.
His dish wasn't down.
And there were 7 families in villages over there. So it took us a while, but we discovered it was a whole colony of about 7 or 8 families that came together. And they settled on farms next to each other in the old town of Brookfield. They built a little log. We were Catholic, so it was a Catholic church. And we stuck together because they were Catholic. And in 1844, the United States was a Protestant nation. And you guys have probably all seen, what was the movie that came out 20 years ago about the New York, the Irish coming to New York, the, anyways.
We have someone who was looking for Germans who I think has a Catholic heritage also around Milwaukee.
Okay.
Steve Johnson.
Okay. Johnson? That's Norwegian.
Or Swedish.
But Kleck was the German name. He was on a few weeks ago. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure. Would you guys want to share some of your experiences and what you learned?
Well, we have been doing that on and off over, so I don't know if anyone wants to introduce themselves again or if we missed anyone, but I just want to point out this is, can anyone see that? That's his book. It's maybe not as clear.
Wait, I'll hold. I have a copy here. I'll hold it up.
Okay, good.
And
yeah.
Tom,
So
can you send the citation to us?
Sure.
oh, wrong book.
Or somebody?
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah. If you send us, Tom, if you send us the citation, I'll send it out.
It's on the library catalog, InfoSoup, which I put a hold on before it's migrated.
Get there quick.
Get there quick, yeah.
I have a hold on it, but I won't keep it long.
Okay. Now, you see this page?
Can you hold it up higher? A little higher?
A little, okay, yeah.
You see the top, all the genealogical
Yeah, you can't read it, but we can see.
information on that family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't read it all, but you can see it. It's all genealogy for that family.
Yeah.
This book is filled with 200 pages of information on the various families who settled in Waukesha County.
Huh.
And every page, let me see if I can just pan through it. You can kind of get a gist of it.
No, it's a good, looks like an interesting book, my goodness.
Well, I spent 8 years on it. I contacted people from 34 different states, Canada, United Kingdom, and Germany. And they all were willing to send me photos of either their first or second generation families. So I filled the book up with that. And what I was looking for was not just one ethnic group. In Waukesha County, we have a settlement of families that came from Wales. We have a settlement of families who came from Scotland. We have a settlement of families, our family came from Bavaria. They were Irish. And that kind of fascinated me that there was such a variety of ethnic groups that just happened to come at that time. And the reason they came at that time was that things were just horrible in Europe for the lower class. There was food shortages, poor crop years, families lost their farms. And so on the other hand, Wisconsin was still a territory. And we were in a real hurry to achieve statehood.
Yes.
So why would we want to achieve statehood?
Good
question.
What would be the advantage of that? I'm a teacher, so I like to ask questions. I love the teacher. Well, when you achieve statehood, what happens?
Become citizens.
You get federal money.
Not lately. Not lately.
Well, no, lately it's not real money.
Okay, but what happens is that you become self-governing as a state. You aren't controlled as a territory from the federal government. We want to have our own state.
That makes sense.
Statehood.
Yeah.
So we sent literature over to Norway and all those other countries in their languages, telling them, oh man, it's wonderful over here. The climate is excellent. Oh, the winters aren't so bad. And crops, you can grow all kinds of crops. We didn't tell them about all the trees you had to cut down to grow your crops. But you know how advertising is. You make everything wonderful. And
not true.
Pardon?
It was not truthful.
Well,
yeah, Wisconsin was the only one that they actually had.
Think about how advertising is today. Is advertising under, pardon me?
Wisconsin was the only state that actually had state employees who met the ships in New York to tell the immigrants about Wisconsin land.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
They did that for about 4 years or something like that. And then the people back home, back in Wisconsin, said, we don't want all these new immigrants. So they stopped funding the program. Does that at all sound familiar?
Yeah, it sounds very familiar. Well, I've got a problem. In the last year, wait, I gotta close the door so my wife doesn't. The door's closed. That's okay. I never got that involved in politics until our latest administration. Okay, I won't go into it, but I become a political activist. Okay, and I'm really, and you may disagree, and that's okay. But my point is, my wife has taken away my First Amendment rights to speak in public about my own
free
thoughts.
speech.
Back to 1844. One thing about 1844, my husband's family
in 1844
came to Port Washington.
Okay.
So they were not only coming from Europe, they were coming from the eastern part of the United States to Wisconsin as well.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
now as a teacher, I'm going to ask you why. Why would you want to leave New York or Vermont, where your family's been there 2 or 3 generations, to come out to the cold and tree-infested woods of Wisconsin? There had to be a good reason.
Yeah,
There was a-
economics.
There
Yeah,
was a
that's
storm.
right.
Land.
The only thing they could grow in Vermont was rocks.
Go ahead.
Same here.
I have one German, I have a bunch of German branches, but one was in New York. He came over, head of the bigger family. And he was in New York, and then he heard about the advertising. Who was it? John Jacob Astor, who did the advertising for Green Bay?
That I don't know.
I'm not sure about that. Wasn't he involved with the fur trade, John
Yes.
Jacob Astor?
I believe
Okay.
So
that.
it's
I've seen
one
that.
of the, I forget the name. It wasn't Astor, I think. The Platte of Astor. Anyway, he was recruiting people to come here, and so
Mhm.
my great-great-great-grandfather came to Green Bay, and in his obituary it said he was the first German to settle in Green Bay.
Okay. Where,
Wow.
And he brought his relatives over, his mother, and he had like a whole lot of step brothers and sisters, and that's the Straubel family, and that was Austin Straubel was one of the descendants.
Oh,
Problems. Interesting.
there was
Yeah.
an airport named
Yeah,
There
that's
is.
Green Bay
There is.
Airport. Mhm. So those,
Austin Straubel Airport somewhere, or there is.
But there-
Green Bay.
Yeah, there's a.
Oh, that's
Straubel
Green Bay.
in Egg Harbor.
So you own that airport?
yeah.
Now,
But those were a lot of Germans that came. He came first German supposedly in his obituary, and then he brought his greater family over from Germany. They all
Yeah.
came over.
What
And
about
we
what
have
year?
a paper that was published in Germany telling the Auslanders or whatever, people who are leaving Germany coming to this country. And they were on those lists, leaving that area.
You must be related to Carol Straubel in Egg Harbor.
Yeah, we are, but I don't
Yeah.
know. My sister does all that.
Yeah, her son was chief engineer for Tesla
Right,
until
right.
recently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Say that again, Chief for Tesla?
Yeah.
Tesla. Her son worked for Tesla. He was the chief engineer up until about a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
We
a
don't
little
know him personally, but
confused.
another relative, Dorothy.
You got me confused
Straubel
because
Wittig.
my brother-in-law, okay, did your family go through the Great Lakes and did their ship drop your family off at Green Bay?
I don't really know how he got here, but I think there were a lot of people traveling through the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
I have another German branch, Findeisen, who came, I think he came to New York. I think I found his ship log, although the writing is a little scribbled out. And he apparently came through the Great Lakes, and he filed for his intention to become a citizen in Michigan. I forget, is it St. Croix? Right on the lakes, just.
Right, yeah, there's a Lake St. Croix, I think, or up north.
St. Clair.
Something on the
Oh,
Great
yeah,
Lakes.
you're right, St. Clair.
Right,
North of Detroit, right?
No,
Catherine.
much further
It's
north.
across-
What they give you.
And then he went to the Mexican-American War. And then
Oh,
he fought in that war, and then he went back to, I believe, to Ohio, and he filed his citizenship papers there. And we have those papers. They were in a box, a metal box. And then he ended up coming to Milwaukee.
okay.
And we have letters from him in Milwaukee. He was involved with the people who formed the Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Church,
Okay.
because their names are in the letters. And then he ended up in Fond du Lac, where he settled. And he's joined the Episcopal Church.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there was no Lutheran church in Fond du Lac in 1840, 50 or so.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, I'm in contact with a friend of mine who helped me with this book. He's about 86 now. And I didn't know much about 19th century German history. And he filled me in. And I was like, the analogy would be like I told you yesterday, like putting Pittsburgh in Massachusetts. That's how confused I was with all the state names and cities and that kind of thing. But so he straightened me out. But I think an important point to make What year did your family come to the upper Midwest? What decade? 1840s, 1850s?
Late
Or any
1840s.
of your families?
1840s.
Wow.
1840s.
1840s.
Okay.
My husband's family.
40s, 50s, 60s.
Yeah. Well, the fascinating thing about all that is that during that era, the highways were the waterways.
Yes.
There were no good roads. You couldn't take a road from New York to Chicago. They went from village to village. And so our family went up from, they were from in the Nuremberg area. And they went up to, no, is it? Anyways, they looked from the northern port in Germany. I don't know, my brain doesn't want to work right now. Took the North Sea, landed in New York, 1844. Took the Erie.
Rotterdam or Le Havre.
No, that's all French. Le Havre would be French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bremerhaven. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
What about Leipzig?
Leipzig.
So the ports
Bremerhaven,
were Bremen and Hamburg, and we do have a German who came from Le Havre.
Yeah, we had a lot of our family come from Le Havre.
Yeah.
This is where the ship left.
Okay, and they came from Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So where is Le Havre? That's France, right?
Yeah.
It's outside Paris. On the
Okay,
coast.
so maybe geographically and water-wise, it was more of a direct route for them to go.
Well, they could walk there, or they could take horses.
Okay.
Too.
Okay.
One of the things you were asking why people came to Wisconsin or the Midwest, in the research of my wife's family, they were up in Vermont, Massachusetts for quite some time, but all of a sudden Michigan was offering 160 acres of land and $500 if you settled there for a minimum of a year.
What part?
What part of Michigan?
Central Lower Michigan.
Yeah.
What year was it?
That was probably in the late 1840s up through probably mid 1850s.
Even the 1830s, late 1830s,
Was it that
Michigan was
early?
settled before Wisconsin.
And they came
Yeah.
down, they came down the Ohio Valley is the way they came, and I don't believe
On the Ohio River.
they came necessarily on water all the way. They probably either walked or carriages or wagons.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We had
So I assume Wisconsin was similar.
better deals here in Wisconsin. Your family should have came a little farther. Because here in Wisconsin at that time, you could buy an acre of land for $1 a quarter. $1 a quarter an acre. Of course, you had more property, so I don't know, maybe it all even out. I don't know.
They gave the land free plus $500, so that was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And they also had family in Detroit that came down because of the fur trading in Detroit.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
The reason they migrated
reason-
there, moved.
The reason I asked that question about New Yorkers specifically was that New Yorkers, Western New Yorkers, the Finger Lakes area, many of those families from those counties came to Wisconsin in 1840s. And the reason is that they grew wheat almost exclusively. And wheat was a great income crop. But when you grow wheat tends to deplete the soil.
Right.
So within a few years, they're like, we're not making much income. And if we go to Wisconsin, they got virgin soil out there, so we can grow wheat again and do well. And after they burnt up all of our soil, they'd move on to Minnesota or Iowa and do the same thing.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting. You're probably all familiar with the ship, the Phoenix, that sunk in, I want to say Sheboygan. It was an immigrant ship that came across the lakes, and they were within sight of the port, and the boiler exploded, and almost everyone drowned. No one is familiar with that account?
I don't know. What year?
Look it up once.
Check
There's a-
with the Door County Maritime Museum. They've got a lot of records. We belong to it, and they've had a lot of programs, and they have a lot of records on shipwrecks in the Great Lakes,
Yeah,
especially in Michigan.
yeah.
Might be a source for you to find some info on.
About 10 years ago, we used to do historical reenacting, and why, if you ever go to one of those events, usually they're militarily focused, like Civil War, Revolutionary War, World War I, which is fine. But my wife and I chose to do early Wisconsin farming practices. And so I would bring along my flail. Do you know what a flail is?
It's for wheat.
Yeah,
Right.
it was.
It was,
No, I think it's out in the garage. But I always tell the kids at events that it was Wisconsin's first combine, and
Well,
you would, use
a
a
couple weeks
combine
ago,
so you could. Pardon, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, it's always hard on Zoom, right? A couple weeks ago, we had a program given by the person who controls or manages the Heritage Garden at Crossroads, which is a park sort of area around here. And he switched the Heritage Garden from the way it was being done, a Bridges style gardening, to the German style gardening over there, which is done in squares. And if you look up that program, it's on our YouTube channel. She talks about how they did the research and found out about the German gardening style.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think it was very difficult for all of our families the first couple years they were here.
yes.
Because they weren't prepared for our climate, because Europe was relatively more mild in the winter. Most of them got here in October, so you had to find some shelter. And then you also, at least in Wisconsin, in southern Wisconsin, was Door County settled later, like in 1860s or early 1840s also?
50s.
1850s.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the earliest of those immigrants from Europe who came to Wisconsin seemed to come down through the port of Milwaukee or Kenosha, because, well, it was the first parcels were being opened down here. And
Green Bay was
gradually
probably
immigration moved north.
Green Bay was probably the earliest. I mean, it was a
Fur trade. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you had the fur trade up there. That's right. So
I go back. There were the large Native American settlements in Door County also.
Yes.
what tribes?
Potawatomi.
Powwow.
Yeah, the typical Oneida, yeah.
In the United too, right?
The Oneidas
Yeah.
came later from New York.
That's correct. Yes, they were resettled here.
And they were removed, right, from New York?
Yes.
Yeah, and resettled here
Right.
near Green Bay area.
Okay.
Still a lot of reservation land out there.
Yeah.
In fact, the airport, isn't the airport on part of it, Laura?
Yes, yes.
Right across from the casino.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
part of the airport's even on
Yeah,
the
the airport has a 100-year lease, as I
Right.
recall, with the tribe.
Oh, okay.
One interesting story, because Door County was not settled till the 50s, really at all. But an early fur traders, there was one early fur trader called Joshua Boyd, and he was the nephew of John Quincy Adams' wife.
Huh.
And he was here in Sturgeon Bay, and he was murdered by a Native American over some squabble they had. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it
I
is.
think every
And that's
community's
before
got
the area was settled.
every community's got a story like that. It
Yeah,
seems
there's so
like.
many stories.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you one. When I was a little boy, I have 9 brothers and sisters, I think. Being Catholic, we were required to have a large family.
A stitch in time could have saved 9,
But
right?
Grandpa, what? Anyways, Grandpa used to call us. I remember this when I was like 5 or 6 years old. He said, "You little hunyakers, you little hunyakers."
Oh, yeah, that was.
that word is just,
derogatory term for Hungarians.
no, some people have interpreted it that way, but it took me a while to figure it out
Bohemians.
because we were just children. I've heard that though too, what you just said. I've heard that.
I think it was from Bohemia, wasn't it? Dave, are you Bohemian?
I'm Bohemian, but I don't know the.
You
I
never
don't know
heard
the
that term?
Never heard it.
No.
Okay. I contacted my friend in Germany, but he lives near the border with Belgium. So he wasn't over near Bavaria. Now, where my family comes from, they speak a different dialect. And so he asked him, do you ever heard of the word Hunyaker?
My grandmother,
says, "Oh, yeah,
my
that's how come
grandmother
here."
learned that.
And
My,
well, he told him that it meant chicken chaser. That little kids were only good for chicken chasing. Okay. But I don't want to refute your account of Hungarians because I have heard that account. So I'm not.
well,
I'm not
my grandmother grew up near Duluth, and that was a term that was used for, I think, Hungarians or Eastern Europeans of some sort. But it wasn't, it was a derogatory term, obviously.
Yeah. Well, we all had derogatory terms. I'm sure every one of us can think of derogatory terms that the new generation or 20s have never heard of. For Italians, for Polish, Swedes, Chinese, Japanese. Maybe it's a good thing those have kind of gone away a little bit. But
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I was just. Oh, anyways, when we came as Catholics, this was a Protestant. You're talking about voting, and they didn't want us new immigrants to have the right to vote, okay? Because we were Democrats and the Protestants were Republican. And you know how a two-party system never seems, well, it keeps going on and on in our country. But they didn't want all these immigrants coming in here and voting because they would vote. But as what the territory decided was we have to give them the right to vote because if we don't give them the right to vote, we won't have enough numbers to achieve statehood. So we almost immediately got the right to vote as new immigrants.
And I've heard that in the discussions before they formed the Constitution, they were talking about giving women the right to vote too.
Yeah.
That didn't happen for a long time.
I'll say.
It took 70 years.
Yeah. But I want to throw in here that Larry Desautel, who does programs for learning and retirement, is doing a program for us on the day itself, August 18th, on the suffrage movement in Wisconsin. So
okay.
into that. It's on Zoom again.
Oh, okay.
So it's really
how many people will be admitted to that?
I don't know, but since we have a subscription account, I think we can have a lot. And Morgan, who runs it, will put it on Facebook also. So you'll be able to view it on Facebook. You just wouldn't be sitting here watching.
Larry is exceptional, so don't miss it.
We take classes from Larry, and he's very good.
Yeah. So be sure to check that one out. I think that's going to be great. It's on our calendar.
Yeah.
Okay. How long does this meeting last?
Well, I think we should probably wrap it up. It's been an hour now.
Yeah.
Laura, can I throw one thing out? And
yeah.
Just don't throw it at me.
Okay. Well, it's not one of those things we all like to hear, but and you might have seen it on Eastman's site today, Tom, about the JED match got compromised as far as passwords.
That was one of my topics I wanted to talk about.
And they've got they got into MyHeritage, and then they immediately immediately sent out some emails with a web page that looked very, very close to what MyHeritage had on one of theirs. And the difference was they spelled heritage instead of AGE, AQE.
Oh, really?
You can't see that very well on your devices all the time.
Yeah.
And so it was also getting into Ancestry where they were having links. They don't know if anything got compromised there.
Wow.
but it all originated with the family tree maker software, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we should change our passwords. That's what it
Oh,
comes down to.
Yeah.
Passwords.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, they could get in there and get things out of your system. Now, Family Tree Maker is the software that was sold and it's owned by a Ukrainian company. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. I don't want to disperse any questionable things, but just don't know. But it's just something, if you start seeing something from MyHeritage, or if you're into the GEDmatch especially.
Yeah, it started,
Yeah.
according to their press release, they said it started from they got in through an existing user account in GEDmatch. And the first day it says that during this time, users who did not opt in for the law enforcement matching were available for law enforcement matching. And all the law enforcement profiles were made visible to GED match users. So if you said you were not into giving the stuff to, law enforcement, then I guess you were. And then they changed it. The next day they came back and they changed it the other way. Not GEDmatch, but the hacker came back and did it again. Now GEDmatch says here that no DNA information was compromised. This is the press release. As GEDmatch does not store raw DNA files on their site. When you upload your data, the information is encoded and the raw file deleted. So they did not get to your sensitive information, but they did get to your email, basically. So
Yeah.
The article I read said they weren't sure if it got through to 23andMe and the Ancestry DNA because they do store raw data of your DNA, and whether that was ever touched, they didn't know.
Yeah, I don't have 23andMe.
So just something to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, you know what? Some technology people are gonna have to do more with this, because it's not just genealogical stuff they're getting hacked into. All kinds of our email and Facebook. I don't know if you guys are on Facebook. Facebook things get hacked into, and some bright mind is gonna have to figure out a way to catch these things more efficiently.
Just along that line, today I kind of read Huffington Post once in a while, the news media, and they said if I wanted to read it anymore, I had to agree to their terms and conditions. So I pulled it up to see what I was really giving them, and because Verizon owns them, it basically was a blanket to go into my computer and take anything and everything they wanted to sell. And I said,
man.
No way. Adios.
Huffington Post? My goodness.
That just shocked me.
Yeah.
Just shocked me. Well, Verizon owns them.
When is our next date? What's our next date that we meet?
From today, it's on the calendar.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, it was wonderful meeting all you people.
Come again.
Yeah, I wish I had more.
August 6th. Betty's got something to say.
Share with you. I didn't want to take up too much of the talking time. And
no, I was just going to say that, Tom, when you were mentioning about Elm Grove, that happens to be my hometown.
Oh,
what's your family name?
Krause. It was Krause.
You had a funeral home.
Well, not the same, but my parents had very, very close friends. And I'm wondering if one of them was your uncle. His name was Gene, and he was married to a gal named Surdy. Gene and Surdy Ramstack. I don't know if that's in your...
Gene, yeah, I didn't know him. I know of Gene Ramstack. If you're interested, do you know any of the old families from Elm Grove, or were you too young for that?
I'm not that young.
Well, if you're interested.
I lived there from 1950 until I got married in like the 70s.
Do you remember